Okay. Hello, my crafty friends. If you're watching the replay, I'm glad you're here. Um, we're going to be working. It won't be the only thing we do on Monday nights, but for the next, I don't know, several months, we'll be working through this book on Monday nights. Hi, Brittany. I'm glad you're here. And tonight we're gonna do the kind of an introduction, and then we're gonna make our color wheel to go with the colors that she uses in the book. So, and we'll talk about color wheels a little bit as well. And then we may go ahead and work um, some of this kind of stuff first. But um, I'm trying to see where we start with which because she said there's 12 projects, and I'm not sure if these are just discussions. It's not actually a part of the one of the projects, but I think right here is where the projects start. So next week we'll start a project, but this week we're just going to discuss it and make a color wheel and that kind of thing. Hi, Mary. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Gloria. I'm glad you're here. I haven't seen you in quite a while. It's good to see you in chat tonight. This is the book that I'm going to be using, and I got mine at Hobby Lobby. And last time I was at Hobby Lobby, they actually had them clearanced. So if they happen to have any at your Hobby Lobby, they might be clearanced. I think you can also get them on Amazon and probably artistnetwork.com. That's who published the book. So we're gonna be playing with this some tonight. I did a little bit of pre-work, but not a lot. I'm going to read you some little excerpts out of this book, the things that she says, so you can kind of get her perspective. I am not going to just read it verbatim, though, because that would be taking advantage of the book, and I don't, that would be like everybody getting the book for free, and so they frown on that. But hi, Sherry. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Gloria, Beth, Janet. I'm glad you're all here. Barb, it's good to see you, Barb. Before we do that, I want to open some Happy Mail. And since I actually have my book made, I still need to do a whole stream or something where I go back and put stuff in my book that I've received since December, when I stopped working in the other one but didn't have this one made. But but I'm going to put this in there, and this is from Judy Patton, and I tore off the address label. I didn't want to. I forgot you can do this with sticky notes, and I didn't want to mark it out because I had lost her address, and so I was so happy to get this from her so I could have her address again. But I just wanted to show you the cute stickers that were on it, and it says, "Spring is God's way of reminding us of new beginnings," and I agree with that. Hi, Patricia. I'm glad you're here. Anyway, I wanted y'all to see that, so I blocked my address and just took hers off. But here is the cute little card that she sent, and it opens like this. It says, "Hello, spring." Isn't that cute? I love the little bunny and the little chicken, little chickie. And she just says, "May God bless you, Judy Patton." And thank you, Judy. God has blessed me very much, and you're one of my blessings. You've been a much better friend to me than I've been to you, but I'm going to do better. But anyway, I want to put this in my book. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate it. Mary just put in the Amazon link to this book, so y'all can go find it. I have no idea what it costs on Amazon, but you can go find it and see if you want to spend it or not. I will probably tell you if you want to work along with me. You know, I'll tell you enough that you can do it, but it really does help to have the book. Anyway, I'm going to put this on the very front page because it just looks bright and cheerful for the very front page. I'm going to put that there, and I think I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and I'm going to put them on here too. So I may need to get my heat gun. Probably so. That's probably what I should do. $24.99. Well, that's what it cost at Hobby Lobby, except if you got it on the clearance, then it was cheaper. It's wonderful how well that works, isn't it? Let's go ahead and put this here. I probably should have put glue on it, but it was still very sticky once I heated it up. $14.62 used. Well, that's a little bit better. Of course, you probably have to pay shipping with that. I don't know. Uh-oh. Okay, this one's not coming off quite as easy. Okay, we pull up paper with it. That's fine with me. I don't mind pulling up the paper with it. Let's just take the paper off. She may have glued this one down with glue, and that's why it didn't, you know, come unstuck. And that would make perfect sense. It's what I would have done too, because it's a washi tape type sticker. Okay, let me get some glue, and we'll just glue it down again. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Dana. Hi, Sharon. I'm glad y'all are all here. Hi, Julie. It's good to see you. Okay. Yeah, see, this is coming back up, so we're going to go ahead and glue it too, because I don't want it to come off and get lost. Thank you, Janet. Okay, and I want to get this one too. Let's see if it'll come off easy or if we're going to have to work at it. This one's easier. There's a piece of tape behind it that she taped the... I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave the piece of tape right there because I don't want to mess up this. And I'm going to stick it right here in the corner. And then we're going to see if we can get this off. I don't know if we can get this off or not. We may... No, let's just cut it. That's just what we're going to do. Then we'll be safe. Scissors. So I knew I had some scissors somewhere, but I may end up tearing it. That's pretty. Will that come off? No. Okay. Oh, it was stamped on there. No wonder. No, I think it is a washi tape. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to be happy with... Oh, that's kind of like a heart. We're just going to use it that way. Oh, look at me. Okay, let me find my pen. And I'm just going to put today's date. It came a few days ago, but I can't remember the exact date. So, okay. Oh, we got to put this down too. I got... Everything's falling everywhere. That's the way my whole world is right now. Everything's falling everywhere. Hen and I are trying to rearrange some stuff in the house, and right now everything's just a bigger mess than before we started trying to rearrange things. So if you walk by a table, something might fall off of it. But we're going to get it done eventually. This paper is some of Tanya's eco prints, and I'm very grateful that she shared with me. And it's lavender. It's lovely, and I don't know if it's lavender or not, but you're right. That's what it looks like, along with some other stuff. But it's beautiful. It makes me happy just to look at it. I did find me an outdoor table. Supposed to be a sit around and eat on it table, but I put it on um, the cement back here. It's not exactly a patio, but it'll hold the table. So I'm hoping I can do some eco dyeing this year. I got a year or two ago, I found me a roasting pan, an electric roaster, so I could do eco dyeing, but I never had a place to put it. So now I do. So I'm excited. I got a good deal at a thrift store on this table, and it's very sturdy, and I feel like it'll hold that roaster without any problems. So I think Tanya kind of is wondering that herself, Beth. Um, she said that they've been stuck in line for a long time to try and get some repairs done that have already been supposedly repaired once, and they're having to have them redone. And the company's taking their nice, sweet time about getting things done. But hopefully she'll be home. Hopefully she'll be home sometime this week. I don't know when, but hopefully sometime this week. If things go well. Okay, thank you, Judy. I love it. And I am going to probably take a stream and just put all the things that I haven't put in a book that I need to put in this book. Um, but today is not that day. Hi, Linda. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, I think that's fairly normal. It sounds like, from what I've heard some other people say, that that's fairly normal to have to deal with repairs that a bunch. But certainly would make me think twice. Darren and I had thought about, trying to find a little camper trailer or a little RV or something like that later, 5 or 10 years from now. That's definitely not happening now, but But this, you know, makes you think twice about it unless you're really committed. I'm not sure I would be that committed. If he was here, I might be, but not by myself. Um, okay. I've got these different watercolors here because um, these are the ones that I used to make my color wheels that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But first of all, I want to give you a little bit of an introduction to this book and kind of her thoughts and methodology. Um, this tells what the projects are like, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about what she says to us. Um, all right, Barbara, yay! Barbara's ready to go. We're gonna go as soon as we can. Okay. Um, one thing I want to tell you is that she does use a lot of mediums in here, a lot of mixed media stuff. And that's one reason I wanted to do this book, because I love mixed media and I wanted to learn more about how to add watercolor into my mixed media in a better way. I don't do it much because I don't really know how. So I'm hoping this book will help me, give me, you know, some ideas about how to do that. Yes, I agree, Mary. An RV to go urban sketching would be wonderful. Well, I actually have 3 different kinds of watercolor here. And you're right, there's a big difference. Um, but but I think what they're doing in here can be done with any of them, and that's the reason I've got so many different kinds. Um, anyway, I want to read a little bit. Um, this is saying what you need in order to work through this book. And I'm going to say right now up front to anybody who's listening, if you want to work through this book with me, do not be afraid if you don't have all the things, because I don't have all the things either. And I'm not going to go buy the things. I have plenty of things and I don't have enough money to go spend on all these golden products. If I can't figure out another way to make something that's sort of similar, then we'll just do what we can. Um, but and you may have to adapt even from what I do, you know, because you will have different things than I have. And you may have some of these that I don't have, and it'll be easier for you to do those projects than it will be for me. But I don't want anybody to think, oh, I can't do this because I don't have all the things. Um, we will find out a way to do it even without all the things. I feel sure we can. Hi, Jean Peter. It's so good to see you. But I want to tell you what she's got listed about what you need. 140-pound cold pressed watercolor paper. And I'm not going to show you all of these things, but I am going to show you what I'm using. Um, and this is something I got. Well, once we got one of them clearanced for $10. We got one of them clearanced for $5. But these are Strathmore watercolor travel pads, cold press, acid free, 100% cotton, 140 pound. And there's 12 sheets in this book. There's like 7 sheets, I think, left in each of these books. But Hannah gave me the rest of hers so I could have all the same paper to do everything on. But anyway, so that's what I'm using for my watercolor paper. And I'm going to I'm going to do it all, and then I'm going to bind it together with that single sheet binding because it's pretty sturdy watercolor paper. So I'm not doing it in a book. Well, I'll make my book at the end. And y'all could work on anything you've got. You could work on a big sheet of paper. You could work on better watercolor paper than this. You can work on less good watercolor paper. Don't fret about it. Just whatever watercolor paper you have. You can work on mixed media paper if you don't have watercolor paper, but all the techniques won't be the same. It won't flow and stuff on mixed media paper the way it does on watercolor paper. So I'm just saying that. But anyway, this is what I'm going to use. And it's what I used to make my color wheels that I'm going to show you in just a minute too. Okay, and then she says, watercolors, you need bright rose, bright violet, cobalt teal, gamboge, gold gouache, and I don't have any gold gouache. See, I was looking at when she gave the colors over here. Well, I guess it's here. And this is what I've got. And I've got white gouache because Hannah and I bought a tube of white gouache a long time ago. But anyway, so let's see, bright rose, bright violet, cobalt teal, gamboge, and that's a dark kind of golden yellow, gold gouache, Hansa yellow, indigo, iridescent electric blue, leaf green, marine blue, peacock blue, or phthalo blue, permanent green light, quinacridone gold, quinacridone rose. So she's got a lot more stuff here than she does here on her palette. So some of these other things are things that she's adding in, and I may or may not use them. If I have them, I will. If I don't, I'm not going to. The gold gouache, I don't have that, but I do have some gold watercolors. So I'm just going to use what I've got that's close to what she's got here. In brushes, she says numbers 4, 5, 8, 12, 16, and 20 rounds, numbers 5 and 6 riggers, and a 1/2 inch flat small scrubber. And I don't know what a scrubber is. Maybe she'll tell us, maybe she won't. Other things that she uses are watercolor pencils, extra fine Sharpie water-based paint markers, black and white, a white China marker, a white crayon would probably work because the China markers are a wax, pan watercolors, acrylic paints, oil pastel sticks, crayons, dimensional paint with an applicator tip, gold and silver acrylic ink, walnut ink, Daler Rowney Ranger Perfect Pearls pigment powder, Amico wax resist, Daniel Smith watercolor ground white, golden clear tar gel. I don't even know what that is. So some of this stuff I'm going to have to look into to even see what it is, so I can see if I can come up with a substitute. Um, golden crackle paste, golden fiber paste, golden liquid, golden glass bead gel, golden light molding paste, Liquitex ceramic stucco, Liquitex natural sand, matte medium, QR press, cold press ground, QOR, that's a brand, QOR. I don't know how you say it. Quar, I don't know. Watercolor ground, gum arabic, Winsor Newton iridescent medium, collage papers, including origami and book papers, white copy paper, foil sheets, light green. I don't have light green foil. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there is. And we're going to just take it one deal at a time. And I'm going to tell you, in it, like I said earlier, I don't have all this stuff, but I still want to do the book because I still want to figure out the watercolor stuff, how to use it with mixed media stuff. So we're going to take each project, and the week before, I will say, these are the things that she suggests you use. And I'm going to try to come up with a substitute for the things I don't have. And if it gets to be too much and y'all don't want to mess with this anymore, we don't have to. But I do really want to try. Um, but the light green foil sheets, I don't have that. I have some foil sheets, but they're gold and copper and silver, I think. Gold gilding flakes, salt, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, washi tape, glue stick or tape roller, white glue, foil glue, don't have that either, Ranger Stickles glitter glue, stardust and copper, twigs or tree stencils, Ranger Mini ink blending tool, craft knife, scissors, fringe scissors, don't have those, scraper tool, palette knife, spray bottle. So this is definitely going to be a do what we can, see what we can do, make it our own. Okay, let's just call it that. This is going to be a make it our own project book. So if you've ever wanted to watch somebody struggle to make something similar to something without the something, come and watch every Monday night. see how I managed. See how I managed to make this work. Yeah, Barbara, mine too. Mine too. When I bought the book, even when I pulled it out and told y'all I wanted to do it, I did not read it in advance, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I'm just going to be honest about that. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I still want to do it. Maybe more now than ever, because now it's a challenge, because I don't have all the stuff, and I probably can't even get all the stuff. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Sharon's going to post in group what a scrubber is. Thank you very much. Um, so now it's a challenge. It's not just a book we're going to work through. It's a challenge, and I'm up to the challenge. I hope you are too. I may get totally frustrated trying to do it and chuck the book. I don't know. But right now, I'm kind of excited about the challenge. We will see. Anyway, I'm going to read you a little bit of the introduction. She says, welcome to Fast and Fun Watercolor, a prismatic journey guided by color and mixed media techniques. The goal of this book is to make watercolor fun and approachable, fast and achievable. Well, she says that, and then she's got all these lists of things that I don't have. But we're going to try anyway. By making color the emphasis and then incorporating mixed media techniques, we can reduce the stress of having to draw things out perfectly in order to begin painting. Forget about making an accurate sketch with photographic likeness. Apply what you intuitively know and be impassioned by the color first. Yes, we will have to, Linda. We'll have to simplify the materials. I don't see, there's not a single one of us who has all that stuff. And I don't think any of us should go out and buy all the stuff. Now, if you want to, great, go for it. But I don't think any of us should feel obligated to. I certainly don't feel obligated to, and I'm the one who brought the whole thing up. Excuse me. This book is divided into two parts. Part one is about all of the tools, both literal and figurative, necessary in an artist's life. I'm not sure that all of them are necessary, all of these things she's listed. But anyway, we'll see. I'll introduce art supplies, discuss color theory, and help you set up a palette based on the color wheel. I'll also provide some tips on how to invite lifelong creativity and cultivate artistic well-being. I'll cover what I practice in the studio, how to find your authentic style, and how to keep going when you get creatively stuck. Okay, that's part one. Part two focuses on artistic application. This is where we bring our tools out to play. We will explore watercolor and mixed media as we work our way around the color wheel with each step-by-step technique demonstration featuring a different hue. My goal with this book is to help your artistic process become a positive experience. It's a truly exciting thing to mix media with watercolors. I hope that this will allow you to see and think about your artwork in a new way. She says, personally, I know I'm more relaxed about my art when color is the emphasis rather than a perfect drawing. May we always make art like a child, immersed in joyful freedom and uninhibited happiness. Okay. This is one of the paintings, and that's in there. And I guess because I knew, okay, see, the part one is only this long. So part one's what we're doing tonight. Gene Peter says, I had Terragel once, but could never remember why I bought it. Oh, well, I don't know anything about, I'll look up what the things are so I can figure out if I can come up with some kind of substitute. But, and I'll try to tell you what they are to the best of my ability when we're on that project. And we'll just do the products for each project at that time, because I'm not going to go through and try to get a whole list of all these things and tell you all about them and then have to tell you again when we do that project. So we're just going to come to them as we come to them. So Um, anyway, tools for the artist's life, part 1. She says we're going to set off with some basic information about the art materials and supplies I use in my studio. And then we will explore the fundamental aspects of color theory and how to interpret certain color combinations. An informative pigment chart will help you choose your watercolors. Okay, then I'll work you through my personal painting approach and working method, provide tips for keeping preparation simple and for creating a workstation that respects your artist's tools. Well, that sounds like that would be useful, doesn't it? And then finally, we'll devote some time to honoring the artist's life with advice on inviting lifelong creativity and cultivating a healthy sense of artistic well-being. How do we sustain an art practice? How do we handle creative frustrations and setbacks? How do we stay motivated and stuff like that? She says, I don't consider myself a creativity expert, but I can share with you the strategies that have helped me navigate this world and embrace my own vulnerability as a working artist. Okay, so the first thing that she has is your watercolor supplies. You need a palette and paints. And I'm just going to show you here real quick. This is how I draw my circle. So it's what we put our tea bags on. So it's not dirt, it's just stained from the tea bag. This is my watercolor palette. It is a dish I got at the thrift store for $1.91. And these are the 12 colors that she has in her color wheel, or as close as I could get to them. And I put these out last night so they would be hopefully dried out. And I'll explain why in just a minute. But this is my palette. And these right here, Shinhan Professional. I've read a lot of reviews, and most people say they're really more student grade. They're not really professional. And if you compare them to Daniel Smith, they're definitely not the same. But they have a lot of colors, and they're fun to work with. I like them just fine, but I'm not I'm not a professional. But these are the ones I have here on my color wheel, except my which one is it? This is the color wheel I made from these. My blue violet, or is an Indian Throne blue from Daniel Smith. That's the closest I had to a blue violet. And so I put that in. The rest of these colors are all colors from this set here. And this is the color wheel I made from that. Let's just go ahead and discuss this a little bit. We'll talk about it again when we get to color wheels. Okay. This is a set of Crayola paints. And you can make a good palette with these Crayola paints. I mean, it's not exactly the same, and I went the opposite direction, so it looks weird. But look how good those look. So if you've just got Crayola, you're probably okay. Now there are a bunch of colors in here. And what I did was just swatch all the colors and then choose the ones that were the closest to what I needed. So that's what I'm doing right now. Hi, Tanya. I'm so glad you're here. Sorry I didn't notice you till just now. But you can see that if this is what I have, or if this is what I have, I can kind of do the same thing. Now, these are more saturated out here, but that's my fault. That is not because they're, that's how I put them on compared to this. This was the very first color wheel I did. And so it's not as good as the other ones, but, and then both of these are made with this little set of Daniel Smith watercolors. And what it has is a warm set and a blue set of the 3 primary colors. And you can tell they make very different color wheels. So if you really like this kind of palette better, then use those kinds of colors to make your color wheels. Use the warmer colors. And if you like the brighter ones, use the cooler colors of whatever palette you have. What brand watercolors in the black palette? Are you talking about in this? Mary, this is Shinhan Professional Watercolors. It's a set my brother sent me off. I had it on my Amazon wish list, and he just bought it and sent it to me probably 4 years ago for Christmas. But that's what they are, Shinhan Professional. And I think this set of 30 watercolors cost about $40, $45 then. I don't know what it costs now. But I know our limit was 50 and it was under that because he bought me something else to go with it. So it may have been 30 or 35. I'm not sure. Shinhan. 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 But I really like these. And then these are Crayola, and these are the Daniel Smith. Now, I mixed all of these myself from 3 colors. So you can do that. If you just want to buy 3 colors and mix your colors as you go, you can do that. And that's one reason I did these, to show you. You do not have to have 12 separate colors in order to do the projects. So, because I mixed these from 3, each of these from 3 colors. And so you can make this work with whatever kind of watercolors you have. You just may have to mix as you go. I asked Hannah, not because she's a professional either, but because she knows a lot more than I do about watercolors. Could I mix up like the yellow and orange? The yellow and red to make my orange, and mix it up and then put it over here and let it dry to make a palette like this out of these colors. And she said, maybe. She said, I wouldn't do it that way. I would mix them as I need them. But that's the way she does things. So she wouldn't recommend doing that. That's probably what I would have done if I hadn't asked her about it. But since I just have these little bitty tubes, I didn't want to do that. I just put them on a small plate, the 3, and then I mixed on that plate. Maybe I should go get that so I can show you that. Let me do that. Let me get those little plates. I'll be right back. I think that might be important to see. Sorry, I didn't think about it earlier. Thank you. Oh, Hannah's going to make me some hot tea. I brought iced tea out here, but I'm kind of being croaky. I've got allergies. I took allergy medicine hoping that would help, but so far it hasn't. Okay. These are the, let me Crayola. Okay. Let me put those over here. And what I did first was put down my red, my blue, and my yellow. And these are the warmer ones. And then I mixed to get my green and orange. No, it's right here. Orange, green and orange and violet. And then I took some out of that and added some more of this to make this. And I took some out of that and made this. So it's messy looking because I wasn't planning on showing you, so I didn't do it neatly. Hi, Kathy. Oh, Kathy, I'm kind of embarrassed to have you here because you're a real artist. And I'm playing with watercolors and don't know what I'm doing, but I'm happy you're here. I really am. I'm just teasing about, well, maybe I am a little embarrassed, but not really. Hi, Brenda. I'm glad you're here too. It's good to see y'all. Anyway, so this is the plate that I mixed my colors on for this color wheel. And this is the plate. It's a little bit easier to see. Yellow, blue, and red. No, red here. And then I just mixed the yellow with the green. Once I made green, I made the orange. And anyway, I just mixed them. First thing I did was put out my my blue and my yellow and my red. Here it is. This is Quinn Rose, but it's the red that I used for this one. I put those out first, and then I let those dry, and then I mixed my green and my violet and my orange and put those in and let them dry. And then I started mixing the ones on either side so that it would so that I could get all of the colors. But I wanted to show you that because I wanted you to see you really can get all the colors just from 3. But they won't necessarily be the same depending on which 3 you choose. Now, if I had done a cyan and magenta and yellow, it would have looked closer to this one, but it still would have been a little bit different. So, hey, Andrea, I'm so glad to see you. So that's those 2 color wheels. And like I said, I did this purely just to prove to myself I could and to prove to you that you could. But I like these colors. This is probably, if I was doing this and I was just going to mix 3 to make them all, this is probably the color palette I would use. But I'm using the color palette that she set out instead. But anyway, there are those. I think those are dry. I can just set them on top of each other. Send that back in with Hannah because she said, Mom, if you're through with those, I'll use those paints. I'm like, okay. We can't waste them, you know. So she's going to use them. But I was mostly using them to get to this place just so I could show you. And then like I said, here's the same color palette done with Crayola. These are brighter. They're also not as intense at the darkest part, and that's because I did them from a palette, a dried palette. And this one and the other ones too, I did all of those. Thank you, Janet. I did all of those from the tube. And so they were really, really dark. And then I added water. Tonight, when I make my color wheel with these, I'm going to do it from dried. And so I expect it to be, you know, more like this one, except these colors, because they are a little bit different. But anyway, that's the Crayola watercolors. Perfectly usable for this project. Now, she did say she uses, she gives a list. Let me find that real quick. Okay, right here you can see she uses 2 grams, and the rest are Daniel Smith to make her color wheel. So, oh my goodness, Mary. Thank you, honey. You're so sweet, so generous. You didn't need to do that, but I am very appreciative. Thank you. I'm going to give you a happy dance. A happy dance. Woo woo, happy dance. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Hoot and hoo. Woo hoo. That's what she meant. Thank you, Mary. Anyway, that's what she uses. Like I said, I'm not using Daniel Smith. Probably has enough Daniel Smith. I could have made a palette out of that. But I have these, and this is what I'm using. Except one Daniel Smith. Because I didn't have something that was close except that. Okay. Back over here though. Brushes. I have let's dig through here. I have a big thing of watercolor brushes. Some of these I bought, some of them Sweet Sharon Lombard sent me and Hannah a ton of brushes, and I got some and Hannah got some. So some of these are ones that she sent. Is this a scrubber? I'm just going to ask Sharon while you're here. Is this a scrubber? It says it calls it a lifter. I'm just curious because that's the one I look at and think that looks like it should be a scrubber. Okay. See, the brushes that she says 20 round. Oh, God, I think I have a 20. Here's a 20. A 12. Okay. And different brands do them different. So what you have from one brand may not translate size-wise. That's 10. I thought I had it. Here's a 12. Okay. And an 8. See, this says it's a 16, but it's really the same size as that 12. Almost exactly the same size as that 12. Here's a 10 and an 8. So we'll use that one. And a 5. I don't think I have a 5. This is a 6. It says it's 5 is small. You can use it as one. Okay, thanks, Sharon. See, this one says it's a 14. So it's just graded differently. Here's a rigger. It's a 0. What is this one? There's an 8. Do I have an 8? See, here's 2 different 8s. They don't look the same. I'm going to use that one, I think. And this is a 4. And this is a 6. And she asked for a 5, so I'm just going to throw both of those there. This is a script liner. It's not a rigger brush. I think they're I think they look a lot alike. But like I said, I'm not a professional here. Sharon knows way more. Sharon's a professional too. You can use it as one. Okay. These are the 2 I have that look like rigger brushes to me. Oh, it says script liner or rigger brush. Okay. But these both say they're 0. So, okay. So these are the brushes. And I think over here, well, maybe not. I thought somewhere, oh, it was probably in that big long list here. She said a scrubber. So these are the ones I'm planning to keep out to use. That is a huge brush right there. Okay. Oh, and a 1/2 inch. There was something about a 1/2 inch something too. Let's see if I can find one. This one says it's a 3/4 inch, and it's about the same as that one. Thank you, Sharon. I wouldn't have some of these to use if you hadn't been so generous. Okay, so these are the brushes I'm going to keep out, and if I decide I need another one, I can, find another one. So I need a different jar to put those in so I can remember that they're the ones that I'm using. See, I don't see anything around at the moment, any empty jars. So I'm just going to put them, in the box here where I'm going to keep my stuff. Okay. Okay, so that's palette, paints, brush, accessories, water containers, one for initial cleaning and another for final rinsing. So you got a two water. So I have 2 waters. And okay, where is it? It's not necessarily necessary, but I like to stick paper towel under mine, under my water. And I don't need these anymore right now. And I actually don't need these either. So I'm trying to get some stuff out of my way. I do want to keep these because they're part of what I'm doing for this class. So, okay. A paper towel or rag. Well, there's paper towel right there. But I also have a rag. So when it comes to needing paper towels and rags, I'm probably over prepared. But if you don't already have them out, then you're running around trying to find them while you've got paint on your brush. So you're not doing professional work anymore. Well, you may not be doing professional work anymore, but you definitely have professional talent and gift and have done that kind of work. So I still consider you a professional. Okay, salt. I do have some salt somewhere. It's probably even out here, but I don't know where it is right at the moment. It creates star-like textures. We've probably all done that before. Rubbing alcohol, I have some of that too. Crayons, make sure you have a white crayon, she says. And watercolor pencils. And I do have watercolor pencils up there. Up there. And then paper. She says heavier paper means less warping. She uses 90 pound to 140 pound, anywhere in there, cold pressed papers. So, and then this is her palette, and I really love this palette. I think it's really cool. You've got your 12 colors, and then you've got places to mix out here. But I told y'all I'm going to use what I've got, and what I have is a plate. So, so we're going to use a plate. She says about paint, she says professional grade versus scholastic grade paint or student grade paint. She says try both. Although I use professional artist grade watercolors, I find it liberating to paint with less expensive student grade paints. Just know that cheaper watercolors may not be light, fast, or permanent, and the pigment concentration will be weaker. Weaker. Some student grade watercolors can make a decent glaze. Experiment and test them out and see what works best for you. Okay, so here she's got some accessories. And she talks about watercolors versus gouache. I think that's how you say it. Think of gouache as an opaque watercolor. In fact, gouache has virtually the same ingredients as watercolor, pigments, binders, and stabilizers, but it also has a chalky whitening agent. This whitening agent turns a transparent medium like watercolor into a solid that dries to a matte finish. Gouache has great covering power, yet it remains water soluble like watercolor. Be careful though. Some gouaches are acrylic gouache hybrids, which will not be water soluble once dry. So that is something to keep in mind for your gold gouache and your white gouache, which are the only two she mentioned in the book that she used. And like I said, I have white, so I'm going to use that, but I don't have gold, so I'm just going to use the gold watercolor that I have. She says tube watercolors will give you consistent color performance. I prefer artist grade tube watercolors because they have a high pigment load and reactivate quickly with water. I do love my pan watercolor sets though, as they are light and portable. It's hard to swirl and keep loading your brush from a tiny half pan, especially if you like to paint with big brushes. So that's my problem with the little pans, is that I get them all dirty because my brush gets, misses around in there. But anyway, crayons. There's nothing more intimidating than a perfectly white blank paper. And I think this is interesting. That's why I'm reading it to you. Julie says, I've just the past few weeks found out there are acrylic gouaches. Well, I just found out about 2 minutes ago, Julie. So I'm behind you on that. I thought gouache was gouache, like watercolor is watercolor, but evidently not. Crayons. There's nothing more intimidating than a perfectly white blank paper. Before I paint, as you'll see in the upcoming demonstrations, I often take my watercolor paper and add random swirls and happy scribbles of crayon for several reasons. She says it triggers my inner child and helps me loosen up. It adds a beautiful yet subtle atmospheric resist to my watercolor washes. And it reminds me that nothing is too precious and perfection is overrated. So even though she's got all the stuff, she still is not planning for perfection. She's planning for fun. Okay, then she's got a whole list of mixed media supplies. And and I'm going to just go over these real quick so you can think about what ones of these you might have, even though we're not going to worry about them until she says we need them for our project. Different crafting tools are synthetic brushes. Glues, gels, and mediums will ruin natural brushes. So you use your synthetic brushes. Don't use your watercolor brushes for the other mediums. That's the main point. Have specific brushes for those other things. Keep your watercolor brushes for watercolor. A palette knife, a spreader tool, an old gift card or hotel key card will work fine. A brayer, Ranger mini ink blending tool, or a cosmetic sponge, just something to blend. Craft sheet, and I'm assuming that's the heat resistant, thing that we a lot of times put down. Stencils and templates, scissors, a circle punch, sandpaper, and a bamboo stick. Washi tape. Adhesives are white glue, glue stick, matte medium or Mod Podge matte, Kuretake Zig two-way glue or foil glue. I don't have either one of those, so I'm going to see if I can make foil stick with the glues I do have. Washi tape, masking tape, and tape runners. Colorants, acrylic paints, inks, walnut dye, liquid, fluid acrylic ink, or metallic ink, and India ink. Those are the inks that she's got listed. Paint marker pens, dimensional fabric paint, Viva color pearl pen, or enamel accents. I don't have that. Oil pastels, Neocolor 2 artist crayons. I don't have that. I'm going to use whatever I have. Gel crayons, gelatos, Stickles glitter glue. I have some dimensional paints, but it's not stickles or glitter. I have some glitter glue, but it's not Stickles either. Grounds, pastes, and mediums. Um, I'm not going to list the brand unless if you really want me to, I can list the brands. But I think what they are is probably more important than what brand. These are just the brands that she used in hers. Light molding paste, fiber paste, crackle paste, watercolor ground, cold press ground, ceramic stucco, natural sand, glass bead gel, clear tar gel or clear leveling gel. I'm wondering if Glossy Accents will do that for that. I don't know. That's the closest thing I've got. Newton gum arabic and Newton iridescent medium. And yes, it is. It's a ton of supplies. And that's why after tonight, we're only going to worry about which supplies we're going to need next week. And each week I'll tell you what we're going to need next week. So you can see if you can figure out some substitute that you have at home. Okay, she's got ephemera, collage paper, fiber, collage paper. She's got origami or book paper, fiber, threads, strings, or yarn, foil sheets, metallic gilding or foil flakes. She says you can make your own watercolor stamping ink formula using gum arabic, dish soap, and gouache. And she tells you how to do that somewhere in part 2. Glitter and foil. And then she's got this that shows the effects of some of those grounds and pastes and mediums. Super heavy gesso, Daniel Smith watercolor ground. And I think you use the watercolor ground if you're going to work on something that's not watercolor paper. Golden fiber paste, cold press ground, or to make more texture. Golden glass bead gel, Daniel Smith watercolor ground in black. I have gold and white, or gold and clear, I think are the only watercolor grounds that I have. Ceramic stucco and dimensional ground. Anyway, we'll find ways to worry about those things then. We're not going to worry about them right now. And we're going to come back to the color theory and the wheel in a minute because, and here she has a pigment chart that tells you which pigments are in the color she chose in case you want to get very technical to find exactly the same pigments, because some of them have more than one pigment in them. Hi, Kathleen. I don't have my book yet, but I think I'll be watching this video again and again. I'm a total beginner when I have to watch one time just to collect my separate supplies. Yeah, yeah. Well, Kathleen, your book is on. Oh no, I forgot. You said for me to give it to someone else. But I'm gonna go over what you need for next week before we get off tonight. Um, so you'll know and you can start looking for next week. Um, we're only gonna go with what we need for next week each week. Julie says I don't even know what grounds are. I think what grounds do is they make something where watercolor will work on it, basically. Um, like if you want to you want to work on another kind of paper, but you want, like in a journal, an art journal, and you want to do watercolor on it. So you put a watercolor ground down, and then the watercolor will work on that paper and it will stay put and not just kind of beat up and roll off or whatever it might do on that paper naturally. Sharon says a ground is like a binder. Okay, interpreting color. We'll come back to this too when we do our color theory stuff. But I wanted to read a little bit. Excuse me. I hadn't got my hot tea out here yet, so I'm still drinking cold tea. I want to give you a little bit of an insight into her methods because she has a 5-step method. And that's probably, I'm sure that's how she'll be going about it in all of these projects. She says, for the longest time, I studied the 5 stages of painting: focus, composition, value, color, and texture. Yet trying to produce a perfectly executed drawing before I could touch my watercolors meant I was perpetually stuck at the composition stage. Something had to change. My approach had to change. Um, it's in the mail from Booktopia. They're usually pretty quick. Okay, good. She says, slowly I began turning my frustration into curiosity. I wondered how I could flip the narrative of traditional painting method and make it more inviting and approachable. I love color so much. How could I incorporate color into every painting stage and let color be the heart and soul of my creative process? Could I modify my own painting practice so that drawing was no longer an issue? This is how color came to my rescue, and it was a real game changer. So this is her 5-step painting process. First, she focuses on color centering, making the color your focal point and inspiration. Just a second. Let me open it for you, Hannah. I'm assuming your hand is full, or you would have opened it yourself.
You're gonna want this. Taste it beforehand, because it's mild.
Okay, thank you.
Let's take a bite.
It is hot.
Okay. Yeah, it's been steeping for a while.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Love you too, hon. Okay. She bought me some very hot tea, so I'm not even going to be able to drink it for a little bit. Some new kinds she got today when we were at Tuesday morning. She wanted to go because they have lots of exotic teas and she wanted to try some. So this is a ginger peach green tea. So we'll see what I think about it in a minute. Hi, Lala. So glad you're here. Color centering is acknowledging the initial stirring excitement or attraction to a particular color. When I use color as my center of attention, I'm creatively summoning what I most want. I want to see, feel, and paint. She says it's tempting to skip this step. We all want to jump towards completing a successful painting. Yet I believe how you start painting is just as important as how you finish one. Okay. Then color composing is about shaping, arranging, and blocking in your colors in an aesthetically pleasing way, rather than starting with contour lines. And kind of like down here, she's got water and then yellow and then kind of pink and then blue. And I'm assuming she means you just put some of that down to block in where you're going to be and choose your colors. So, um, the best approach to color composing is to keep things simple and edit things down to a few color masses. Whether I'm painting a landscape or still life, color composing starts me off right as I section my paper into 3 to 5 manageable regions or areas of color. This is why squinting or taking off my glasses often helps abstract the color shapes in space and prevents me from getting distracted by details. Those come much later. Step 3, color contrasting or the value. Color contrasting is the act of adjusting the values in a painting. Value is the lightness or darkness of a color, and it's critical to address it in every painting. Color contrasting asks for your continued evaluation and assessment on whether a hue is coming out too light or too dark on your paper. Do the colors look pale and anemic, or are they so dark they're overpowering? Color contrasting solves all that. With watercolor, it's easy. Simply dilute your brush with more water to lighten, or saturate your brush with more pigment, with more paint to darken. The key is layering. Keep that in mind. The key is in the layering. That's where I have problems, right there, in the layering. Janet says, with quilting, I was told to snap a photo in black and white to check your color contrast. That's a good idea, Janet. I bet that would work here too. Okay, step number 4, coloration or color. Coloration encapsulates why I became an artist in the first place, to play and immerse myself in color. Coloration is an intuitive, magical phase where color theory and color harmony come alive and want to dance. I like to spend most of my time here. Color clarifying or texture. Second, let me take a little drink. Oh, it had to be very small. Very hot, very hot. Sharon agrees with me. No, the key is in the layering. Hannah has told me this over and over, Mom. You need to layer. Don't try to do it all the first time. But I still struggle with that. Okay. Color clarifying or texture. Color clarifying is the last step of our art making process, and it happens quickly when most of the painting is done and we're just fine tuning things to conclude the story. When I'm color clarifying, I'm using color to sharpen details or decorate a surface with color accents and embellishments. This final stage is like putting fresh fruit on your yogurt or croutons on your salad. It's adding that last bit of satisfying texture. For example, try rubbing gold pastel to enhance tree barks or splattering white gouache to suggest a snowfall, etc. That's true. It is. But but I don't paint enough to have layering down in painting. When I paint, I put on the paint. That's always been an issue. Even when I was doing ceramics way back 30 years ago, I would put my layers on way too thick. So that's a constant struggle for me. Anyway, there's a taste of her painting method that she's going to, I imagine, show us, in as we go through these things. And then she talks about honoring your physical space. And I'm just going to do a little bit in here. She says an art studio isn't just an area for art making. It's a deeply personal, sacred space we give ourselves. During the past 14 years of working as a part-time artist, my art space has evolved from a kitchen island to a renovated living room and then converted into an art studio. All creative spaces are precious and valuable. They serve as incubators of ideas. Sometimes I would take my art studio outdoors or sit down at a cafe. So, an art studio, no matter how tiny or spacious, rented or owned, conventional or unconventional, is ultimately a symbol of self-care. When I had a dedicated workspace for art, something within me changed. I took myself more seriously as an artist and became a bit braver each day. She says, sometimes my art submissions would get rejected, but that didn't matter. I was grateful for the opportunity to do something daring in my life and for having a physical place to start making art again. Please honor yourself, your creativity, and your dreams. You don't need a fully decked out custom studio. A cleared out corner of a table will do. You just need a warm, inviting environment with good intentions. She does give a few tips. Brenda, I hope I said hi to you. I think I did. I hope so. That's true, Mary. Sometimes breaking the rules is fun, intentionally or accidentally, and I've done both. Um, Following are some tips on keeping your art studio well organized. Functional storage. Storage does not have to be expensive or uniform. You can be thrifty and eclectic with containers. Um, Bookcases serve as fantastic vertical storage. Boxes, stackable trays, drawers, pretty cups. Take advantage of every inch of space. Accessible supplies. She says, I used to diligently put away and store my art supplies in their original packaging, but this was a cumbersome task that was hindering my workflow. I get that because I tried for a long time to keep my stamps in their packaging so I could know where they came from. But it was a hassle, and so I quit. So now they're just thrown in a box. So I can't tell you where they came from, but they're much easier to use. She says, in my son's craft room, he has a variety of tantalizing art supplies that are always accessible. Watercolors, markers, pastels, glitter glue, stencils, beads, and clay. Kids love process-oriented art because the materials look irresistible. They need the freedom to use any art supply at their disposal. This is a good reminder for us. I agree. You deserve to decorate your surroundings with beautiful things you love, especially color. She's really into color. I don't think she's a vintagey kind of person. And that's fine. I can still learn from her. Although I tend to be more vintagey than color oriented. She says, when I'm surrounded by uplifting, gorgeous colors, my heart feels like it's being hugged. Okay, decluttering. Decluttering is a tough subject because as a mixed media artist, I want to keep everything. Who knows when I'll need something someday? Okay, this is me. This is where I sit in my problem. So I'm going to read this whole thing instead of paraphrasing. Who knows when I'll need something someday? However, the accumulation of art supplies over the years was getting in the way. I noticed I was spending more energy organizing my space rather than creating in my space. I don't do that. I just let it get in the way. But I do have problems with not being able to get to some things because other stuff's just in the way. And so um, that's got to, you know, Julie says like Carolyn Doobie. Um, After learning about the KonMari method of organizing and streamlining, I realized where my anxiety was coming from. I was holding on to too much stuff, and the struggle was not serving my higher purpose. Nowadays, if I cannot find a home for an item or if I haven't used it in a while, I donate it to friends, schools, or a local charity. I want to spend less time decluttering and have more time for painting. And she loves neon bright colors. Yes, she does. Share the joy. That's her next organizational tip. Throw an art and wine party. I do this about once a month or every other month in my studio space, and it's a dream come true. I can comfortably fit 6 people, and no one has accidentally dipped their paintbrush into a wine glass yet. I don't have a space for that, but I think it would be fun to do. I was going to read this one in advance, and I didn't, but that's why it was labeled because I wanted to know about honoring your mental space. Um, She says certain routines help my mind stay clear and on track. No matter how late it is or how tired I am, I make it a habit to rinse my brushes, clean my palette, and replace any dirty water. It's how I honor the space. Um, she says, I learned this honoring of space concept many years ago in a college karate class. Whenever we entered or left the area, we had to bow to the space as a sign of respect. I may not literally bow to my art studio, but I do know how lucky I am. I make sure to respect my creative space and show gratitude by taking care of it. Another routine that supports my sanity is to take frequent breaks from social media. That is something I probably should do more often. But I do take breaks from commenting on videos or commenting on streams, but I still watch stuff more probably than I should. Um, she says, we live in strange times where one can get instant access to another person's life. Unfortunately, This may lead to comparison, and comparison may make us feel self-conscious about our art and about ourselves, that what we're working on is somehow not good enough. And I agree that that is an issue. That's a problem. I'm better now than I was a few years ago about um, not expecting my stuff to be as good as other people's. And what what made me think about that, or um, what made it take hold of my heart and let me relax about it, was when somebody says, "Don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle, or your middle to someone else's long term work." Um, take what you can from what they're doing where you're at, and don't expect your stuff to be like theirs. And it also helped me to realize that I may like watching someone do something. That doesn't mean I'm going to like doing it. I like to watch a lot of things I don't particularly enjoy doing. Um, and it's okay. It's okay to love watching someone do something, but not want to do it yourself. That's perfectly fine. Okay. She says, but when I get too caught up, oh, she says, on one hand, social networking sites like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest can be a wonderful way to find inspiration. Um, and they can also serve a place for us to share our work. But when I get too caught up in what the rest of the world is doing, it's easy to get overwhelmed and overstimulated. My mind cannot handle constant distractions and interruptions. So unplugging from technology and restricting my social media diet isn't is like putting healthy blinders on so I can focus on my own race. So yeah, we can't do everything right, Gloria. I agree. When I mind my own business, stop procrastinating, and head straight to my studio, I feel like I'm once again um, doing my best. Okay. And then she talks about honoring your emotional space. Um, um, Ursula K. Le Guin once said, "The creative adult is the child who survived." I was 10 years old when my mother died. From then on, art was how I survived. Expressing myself through painting didn't just keep me emotionally alive, it also gradually helped me to change my inner narrative. I think um, all of us understand, whether it's hard times emotionally, whether it's physical pain, whatever it is, all of us have enough hardship in our life that our art helps pull us out of that, and helps us be able to go on happily. I think we all kind of understand what she's talking about here. Oh, Jude, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for your love. I'll give you a happy dance. Happy dance for Jude. Happy, happy dance. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, she said it also gradually helped me change my inner narrative. I didn't want my life story to focus only on loss. I wanted to redefine my experiences under the lenses of hope and healing. As an adult, I continued to explore and nurture my artistic curiosity. She says, I took my first watercolor class at a local community college, but I was 29 years old. Years later, when I finally became a mother myself, it was clear that watercolor was taking me further into a deeper artistic practice. Motherhood has become my greatest teacher in artistic compassion. I make sure I'm gentle and kind to myself when I'm painting. Negative energy or self criticism isn't allowed on my craft table. You would never criticize or say harsh words to a child. So then, how is treating your inner child any different? I also don't carry any maternal guilt for taking time for myself. Making art isn't being selfish, it's part of good self care. Um, yeah, I did have adults say negative things about my artwork when I was a child, and that made it hard for me to feel comfortable with my art. And I didn't do any art after that for years. I gradually did things that I had not tried to do as a child, like I did ceramics, I did stained glass, I did flower arranging, I did pottery, I did a bunch of things before I came back to touching paint and drawing and stuff. I did a whole bunch of these other things in between because I had been very negatively impacted about my art when I was a child by one of my teachers. Um, and that's one reason why I had so much art and craft and stuff for my kids to do. And I always gave them time to create. And I don't know if that's why they're light years ahead of me when it comes to their abilities. If it's because they were able to keep that all the way, they're still creating and they're still drawing and painting and doing things. Um, and I think it's because of my pain, I didn't give them that same pain. And I'm grateful. Um, I'm very grateful. Even if I had to experience the pain myself to keep from giving it to my children, um, I didn't know, why did I go through that as a kid? That was so mean. But um, but it did help me to be more compassionate towards all the children that I taught when I did homeschool art. And and to see, not just be compassionate, because that's really the wrong word, to actually see the beauty in their work. Yes. And we need to give ourselves that same, there is beauty in our work. Um and I agree with you, Mary. I agree with that too. It's okay to self-critique in order to grow. I self-critique myself a lot. Um and it's not tearing myself down, it's just being realistic about what I like or don't like about what I did. But it does help me do something different next time. So I agree with that. But I'm very grateful, if only, because um, I was able to see the beauty in every stage of my children's art, and they are very creative people, and I'm very grateful for that. I remember Darren saying it was a good thing that I was doing the homeschooling and he was earning the money, because if it had been the other way around, our kids would know how to clean house and keep things neat, but they wouldn't have been very creative. We each have our place. Um, Darren's was very organized person, and he was also a minimalist. He didn't like tables having stuff on it, but he actually let go of that side of himself at home so that our kids could be creative and I could be creative, because we are all three messy, creative people. And his creativity was in organizing, and he organized things at work. He made spreadsheets. He did all the kinds of things. That was his artistic gift, and he utilized it at work. And then he just let us do our thing at home. And I'm very grateful for that, because if he had not seen how important it was for them to be creative, they might have not had the chance because of just having to keep things clean all the time. So there's emotional space for your art is is important. It's very important. So give yourself the same grace you give other people. Give yourself the same grace you give other people. And that goes for all areas of your life, not just your art. Okay, here are some creativity tips. And then we're finally going to go back and do some watercolor. um, she says, so here are some tips and advice for keeping your creative juices flowing. Tiny steps. People often ask how I find the time to make art. There's never enough time, really, but somehow, even if it's only 10 minutes a day, I make it work. Um, I would love to paint a marathon session, but in reality, that doesn't work. So take life in small steps. And, a lot of things in life take small steps. Um, but do something artistic every day, even if it's just a few minutes. It's okay if you don't finish it. You can come back. She says magic comes in small steps too. Okay, she also says find authenticity. There's a lot of copied or derived work in the art world. As a person who craves individuality, it's important for me to find my own authentic voice. It's rare to find a personal artistic style from a single painting. I believe the secret to unlocking one's creative hallmark is to generate a ton of art and just follow it where it goes. Um, so she says, just work, just keep making stuff, and I agree with that. It took me a lot of making stuff like other people did before I figured out what I like to do and what speaks to me and what I enjoy and what I do well. Um, Remember, your artistic style should echo who you really are, not someone else. So, Linda, sweetie, thank you. Y'all are just being so generous. Thank you. Here's a thank you happy dance. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless all of you. Um, she also says repeat yourself. There's nothing with doing the same painting over and over again. This is one thing um, that I never thought about doing. I do the same style of collage over and over again because I like that style, but I'm using different stuff each time because the other stuff's glued down on some other page. So it doesn't feel like repeating, but it really is. It's repeating what I love. But Beth, I don't, I don't know if Beth's in here, but Beth Schuler um, talks about she did this painting and she did it again here and she did it again here until she got, to where she could do it easily the way she liked it. Ah, there she is. Um, and I just thought that was awesome. So Beth would give the same advice, wouldn't you, Beth? Yeah, she says, I love repeating. um, but Beth's the first person I heard that from. It's okay to repeat it. Do it again. Anyway, she says, if you have a favorite visual element, motive, or icon, keep working at it. I'm about to lose my voice. Good grief. Okay. A little bit of hot tea and a cough drop. Maybe my voice will last. She says, embrace the journey of the known and unknown by sticking with a recurrent theme and just, change it as you go. She says, for months, I couldn't stop painting orca whales. Um, it's cathartic and valuable just to trust the process. So I agree. And then after she says, repeat yourself, she says something else. She says, go rogue. If you're stuck in an artistic rut, mix things up. Experiment with different art supplies. Some days I use acrylic inks and chalk pastels on top of watercolors. Other days I skip watercolor entirely and paint with only fabric dyes and gel crayons. Play with different mark making tools. Play on different surfaces. Nothing is too sacred to use. Hi, Nashwa. It's so good to see you. And I agree with that. And that's kind of what I'm doing. That's kind of what I'm doing with this is getting out of my comfort zone. And the nothing is too sacred to use. That's been an issue for me too. Hoarding things that were precious. And I've tried to stop myself from doing that in the past. But losing Darren so suddenly without any warning made me realize that every day is precious and we need to use the precious things that we love the most right now because we don't know if we will have tomorrow to use them or not. And I don't want to be a downer, but I think it's valuable to think about this. I love this. I want to use it. I think that's valuable. Okay. And next week, well, let me real quick, because some of you may have to leave before I get through. We're going to do the sunflowers paper glue technique next week. So let me tell you what she has down here that you might try to find. I will also, I'll try to type this up and put it in my group. Yeah, Gloria, it's hard, isn't it? And it's a yucky lesson to have to learn. But if you can learn it um, without having to go through that, that's even better. Um, but there, good things come out of bad things, and this is one of the good things for me. That has, I'm trying to find good things, and this is one. Just use it. If it's precious, use it even more. Um, anyway, she says watercolor paper, 140 pounds is what she uses. Watercolors, gamboge, hands yellow, permanent green light, quinacridone rose, titanium white gouache, ultramarine blue, ultramarine violet, Van Dyke brown, and Viridian. So the only thing that's not here, I think, is the white gouache and the Van Dyke brown. So just pull a brown that you like, that you think probably is for the centers of the sunflowers or the um, anyway. just get out your watercolors and use whatever colors you got. That's what the way we're going to do it. She says the brush is 4, 8, and 16. So let me give you a look at what those are. Okay, see, I don't think I have a 4 here, but that's funny because I showed y'all the brushes she listed earlier, and then 16 wasn't one of those. So just get out a big round brush. This is a 20, so it doesn't need to be that big. This is a 12, so somewhere in between there. A 4, which is basically a medium-sized brush. A big brush, a medium-sized brush, and then a rigger brush. So big, medium, and small. That's what you need. Large, medium, and small. And then crayons, watercolor pencil, white glue, book pages for collage, a spray bottle for you to water down your paint. I had a 6 and a 4. Yeah. No, I had a, well, there's the 6. Oh, yeah, I did. There's the 4. Okay. Thank you. um, a craft knife, acrylic craft paint, neon yellow, she says, salt, and then cold pressed ground. I'll have to look that up and see what it is. I don't know. A palette knife, and I think well, let's look and see. Oh, I think she's putting the ground over the paper so she can use the watercolor on top of it. So, and I don't know if she uses white or if she uses, I don't know. Here she talks about at the beginning of the book, a rigger is like this. It's a script brush. She talks about not having to draw, but then the first thing she does is draw. That's funny. Okay. So we will see. Okay. Palette knife, dimensional paint, gold. Gold, Mary. Gold dimensional paint. An extra fine Sharpie water paste paint marker in white. So, um, I don't know that I have that. All I have is Posca. But I'm going to use the Posca pen because that's what I've got. Cold ground is like gesso for watercolor. Okay. Well, I'm just going to use what the ground that I have, which is, let me see if I can find it real quick. That's probably going to be my biggest issue is finding all this stuff that's been stuck down places. Um, well, I don't have it. I'll have to look for it. I have some clear and some gold, but I have some clear ground, I think. But if I don't, I'll do it without it because I don't know, Kathy. Maybe so. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Okay, well, those are the things that she says you need. But like I said, we're going to use what we have and try to adapt the rest. Um, and we'll talk through that next time. But she says here, the road to freedom is bordered with sunflowers. Okay. First thing we're going to do is make a color wheel, and then we're going to just play with mixing some colors together. Yeah, if we can't find a ground, we'll just have to let the paint do what it does. So, okay. Now I'm going to put the book up. Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm going to keep this out. Okay. And this is just how I did it. And I probably don't really need to show you, but I'm going to because that's what this is about. And I just made a circle. And then I used a ruler, and my circles are not perfectly divided. See, I already messed it up just like I did this one. It doesn't really matter. The main point is just to divide your paper into 12 sections. And I went ahead and took the lines all the way out so I could write my words there. Hello, Charlene. Welcome, welcome. I don't think I've ever seen you in my live stream before, but I'm happy you're here. Okay. Okay. Now then, I'm probably going to do it in the same order as this. Start with my yellow just because that's how I did this, and hopefully that will help me not mess up. And I'm going to write it with an ink pen here. Now, these are the numbers for the paint. The numbers of the paints in this set. And each one of them has the number on it right above the name. And they also have, you know, in here, each one listed by number. But that's why I'm writing it on there, because that will help me if I ever need to replace one. Maybe I can. I don't know. But that's what I'm doing anyway. And I'm writing the names that are on my tubes and not the names that she used in the book, because that makes it easier for me to remember. You know, if I need to get some more, I can go look in my book and find the right tube. If I use the names that she uses in here for the paint she used, I'd be in trouble trying to find it. I don't know if there's one L or two in vermilion. I'm just going to write it the way I wrote it that time. Makes you want to go urban sketching. I loved when you used to do videos of you out urban sketching, Mary. I really enjoyed watching those. This one is the closest thing I could find to the red violet, and it's called Bordeaux. It sounds very fancy, doesn't it? Okay, and this is the one that I use that's a Daniel Smith, and it was the closest thing I had to a blue violet, and it's Indian Throne Blue, PB60. So so I wrote the same thing on this because it came from a different maker. Can't quite get the same setup. Yeah. Well, I would love it if you would do some more of that. I really enjoyed watching you. I love to watch you sketch anyway. I really do. I enjoy watching you sketch. Anytime I see you sketching anything, I enjoy it. Oh, I missed what Sharon says. Makes you want to grab your watercolor and paint. You should, Sharon. Sorry, let me get another drink. This doesn't taste peachy or gingery. It tastes good, but Peacock Green. I love that color. I would call that phthalo green's what I would call that one, but or maybe phthalo blue. I don't know. But they call it peacock green, and that sounds pretty. So Okay. Now then, it's all set up. Okay, what's going on? Did I miss a question, Gloria? Let me go back and see if I can find your question. Were you asking me or were you asking someone else? Oh, okay. Just questions in general. That's fine. And I agree with Mary. Anytime you have a question, ask, and somebody can answer it. Probably somebody in chat can answer it better than I can. Okay. Now then, here's my palette, and I'm just going to use a water brush to do this. Okay. Can make sure y'all can see. And we're going to start, because this is exactly how I put it on here. See, that makes it easy. But I'm not gonna do them in a row because I want it to dry on the edges before I put the one next to it so they don't leak into each other. Hi, Barbara. I'm glad you're here. I'm using good old crayons watercolors, not having any trouble with colors. Yeah, let me show you. I don't know which set you're using. It doesn't really matter, but here's the one I did with Crayola. And that was one reason I did it, was just to show that you can use anything. So I think that turned out beautiful. That'd be a beautiful palette to work with. And that was these colors. Now, I did mix these two to get my red violet, but the rest of them were all in here because this is a pretty big set of Crayolas. So okay. One thing that happened when I did this here, I was working out of the tube, and so it was really saturated at the top, and you don't typically use watercolor that saturated, so that's one reason I'm redoing it. Plus, I did the yellow, and I didn't dilute it out. That was the very first color I did on the very first color wheel, and so I wanted to redo that so that it lightens towards the middle, which is what I'm trying to do. Okay, and then we're going to do okay, I think I messed something up here. Let me check. No, I didn't. Okay. Yeah, I did. Okay, let me show you what I did and why this was looking weird to me. I did my yellow in the yellow green. See, I already messed it up. Already messed it up. I don't know how good this is going to work, but I'm going to see if we can pick it up. And I could just add some green, but it's hard to be perfect in a stream. It is. It's hard for me to be perfect anytime, but but that's why when I went to pick up a color, it looked like it was going to be the wrong color. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start with a different one because I want to let that dry right here. So we will start with violet because that's what comes across from the yellow. Okay, I'm not doing very good at staying in the lines this time. I think this is a different brush than what I used last time. Let me find a different brush. Yeah, there's the brush I used last time, and it's out of water. Which is why I picked that one up. So let's try this one. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's just go skip one. We'll just use this. I probably should have sprayed these, but I didn't. We got too much. Wow. Okay. The blue really got loaded into the brush more than I wanted. Okay. Hi, Miss Ellie K. Hi, Kristen. I'm glad you're both here. Let me turn that off. Okay. Hi, Barbara. I'm glad you're here. Right now, Allie, I'm using these. They're Shinhan, Shinhan, and they say they're professional. That's the kind that I'm using right now. Okay, let's go over here and we're going to do red next. And this is a really quinacridone rose. Um, okay. Getting it to, you know, fade out or whatever you want to call that. I'm not that great at that, but this is what we've got so far. And this, pretend that's not there. Pretend that's not there. Okay, so now we're going to do orange. We're trying to make them gradually get less and less saturated color. And I just kind of messed that up a little bit there. Okay. Okay, I got to go back and look at something real quick. Somebody was asking about Royal Langanical paints, and I've never used them, so I don't know. So I'm glad she was asking somebody else because I couldn't give a good answer for that. Okay. Oh yeah, let's just really mess it up here, Lisa. Okay, do y'all see what happened here? See how my water's orange? I sucked some of it back up in here. That's the problem with water brushes. So I'm just going to be using this water instead of getting it out of here. Okay. All right. Now we're going to try yellow again. Okay. So this is what we've got so far. And I'm just skipping them so that we can go, so they won't mix together. At least that's my plan. And I'm probably not even doing this. I mean, my technique's probably not that great. Um, okay. And now we're going here. Okay. Lay that down. This is the Daniel Smith. And you can see how pigmented it is compared to the others. So I kind of overdid that one because I was getting it like I did on the other ones. And got too much pigment on my brush at the first time. But anyway, it flows pretty though, doesn't it? Okay, now we're going to do Bordeaux. Right? It's a little scary. I think this is a beautiful color. She calls it red violet, I think, but okay. Yes, they are. I agree with both of those things. They're expensive, but if you're really into watercolor, they're worth the price. Hannah likes Daniel Smith and she likes M. Graham. She likes a lot. She like certain colors from different people. So all right, let's see. Okay, that orange is still wet. So we're going to go back over here because I think the Viridian's drier than the orange is. So we're going to go back to Peacock Green, which I think is right here. Okay, okay. Yep, that's it. It just looked very blue when I wet the palette. When I wet it on the palette, it looked very blue. Okay. Don't want to dab them too much and pull up the paint, but oh, I'm sorry your dog is sick. That's not good. Okay, this is the yellow deep. I should have just sprayed this. Anyway, I did it. Okay, now we're going to go, let's do the yellow green. Or green yellow, no, yellow green it says. I'm not sure if green yellow would be a different color than yellow green. Just going to add a touch more to overcome all the yellow that was still there. Okay, last one is vermilion. Which is a orange red. Okay. There's our finished color wheel. I think it looks pretty good. This is the other one. They look pretty much the same, don't they? That's good because I use the same paints. So they should look the same. All right. And then let me get these out of the way. My extra color wheels. Stick them all underneath that one. And then she talks about okay. I didn't really go into color theory, but I think it's pretty obvious. but I am going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about it, just in case. She says it's easy to develop an effective tool like a color palette when you have a solid understanding of color theory and the color wheel. Color comes from light. It was Sir Isaac Newton who noticed light gets refracted when shined through a crystal prism and splits into a rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. When Newton took this color spectrum and placed it end to end to make a circle, he created the very first color wheel. Thank y'all. The color wheel is made up of 12 hues, 3 primaries, and that would be our blue, yellow, and red. Let me get a drink. That tea is no longer hot. Okay. 3 secondaries, which would be viridian, violet, and orange, and 6 tertiary colors. And those are the colors on each side of your secondary colors. Okay. So on each side of the green is yellow green and blue green. On each side of blue is blue green and blue violet. On each side of violet is blue violet and red violet. On each side of orange is red orange and yellow orange. So that's how you get 12. Primary colors are yellow, red, yellow, and blue, or yellow, red, and blue. These colors are pure. In other words, you can't make yellow from anything else. You can't make red from something else. You can't make blue from something else. All these other colors you can make using those 3, but you can't make those colors. You have to have them to start with. So, secondary colors are orange, violet, and green. They appear between the primary colors. So they're like a half and half mixture. Green, the viridian, is half blue and half yellow. Orange is half red and half yellow. And violet is half red and half blue. So, and then when you, the tertiary colors are formed by mixing the primary color with the secondary color. So, blue-green is blue mixed with green. So you're mixing a primary color and a secondary color to get your tertiary color. Same here. You mix yellow with the green to get the yellow-green. So you're using you're adding, again, more yellow to it to get green. So like yellow-green is like 1.5 times as much yellow as the viridian, because you added yellow to this. And blue-green is half again as much blue added to the green. So that each of the tertiary colors has more of the primary color next to it than it does of the secondary color. We can also reference a hue's placement within a chromatic system or a color system, and you see relationships. We can make predictions about how certain colors will react. For example, being directly opposite each other on the color wheel, yellow and violet neutralize each other. If they're over blended, then it would just be muddy. So when we talk about colors creating mud, that's what we're talking about, is colors that are opposite on the wheel. Okay, so And she says, and I did this, but I didn't say it to you. Instead of squeezing out fresh paint every time, I like to harden my watercolors onto a palette and then let them set for 48 hours before I paint. Now, mine only set for 24 hours, but I made them really flat, and she was filling up a well. So 24 hours was plenty. I hadn't heard that, Mary. That's cool. She says the stories of people who say they visited heaven and came back say there are colors we can't imagine. So think of what the light up there has to be so different from it here. Yeah. Okay. Now we're over here to interpreting color. Um, she says now that you've got a palette set up and you've got basic color theory, she wants to share some creative strategy. And so we've got monochromatic colors, whereas you just have the same color with more and more white added to it. So here she says monochromatic colors use one color plus that color's tints and shades. So she used ultramarine blue with black and white. So she added black, I guess, over to this part, and then there was less black, and it was just the ultramarine, and then she added the white gouache. So it's when you add black on one end and white on the other end, you get a what do we call that? Eh. Oh, y'all know what I'm looking at. I'm looking for what the word is. But that's how you make something monochromatic is you add black to it and white to it, but nothing else. Complementary colors are colors across from each other on the color wheel. They make each other really show up by being next to them, but when you mix them, they kind of get muddy. Variegated. That's it, Julie. Thank you. Well, not very well, sort of. Yeah, I'm not. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it's sort of. Um, an ombre effect. Is that the right word? It's what I was thinking about over here. So she says, complementary colors are a pair of colors opposite each other. Here's magenta and permanent green light. You can avoid mud by using highly controlled, careful brush strokes. You can see some spots where the colors got neutralized. And she says she thinks that's a near perfect black um, made from the magenta and the green. Triadic colors involve the three primary colors that, and here she used gamboge, which is this one right here, and magenta, which would be this rose color. That's the closest I have on here to it. And then turquoise, and the closest thing we have to turquoise is that the peacock green. That would be our turquoise color if we were going to do this one. And analogous colors use 3 to 5 neighboring colors. Here she used yellow, gamboge, pink, and magenta. So she skipped the oranges, but she made them by mixing the magenta and the yellows. And when she talks about color schemes, she's talking about favorite color combinations to work analogously. So there's the purple and the blue and the green and then the yellow. Or here's the pink and the orange and the dark yellow and the light yellow. These are analogous warm colors. These are analogous cool colors. Graduation or gradient. Gradient. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Gradient. Gradation. Hi, Dar. I'm glad you're here. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. So you can mix your warm colors together and they're gorgeous, but so are these. This is what I'm drawn to more than these. That's just me. Um, she says if you use 6 or 7 analogous colors, some of the hues will begin to counteract or neutralize each other. So the more of them you use, the more you're getting closer to one of those opposite colors, and so it neutralizes itself. So it's better not to use 6. 3 to 5, she says, stay within 3 to 5, and I would agree with that. Okay. I was going to get another piece of paper and do some of this. I think I'll still have enough paper to do my 12 projects if I do that. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I may not if I do that. I may not be able to do that on here. I may have to use something else. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead. I'll find another piece of paper and cut it to this size when I get ready to be there. Chiaroscuro, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, is an artistic term used to describe the dramatic effect of contrasting areas of light and dark. It comes from the combination of the Italian words for light and dark. Yes, Sharon. And I'm sure that's how she did this because they wouldn't have blended nicely otherwise. So let's see. That's not the brush I was trying to grab. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the water and make some circles. And I can't see them, so I think I may have to do one at a time or they'll dry too much. And we're going to do some red. And I got too much pigment. And orange. See, I'm grabbing way too much pigment. But it's going to be pretty. And yellow. Let's encourage them. I had too much water. So you can have too much water or not enough water. Anyway, it looks pretty, but it's very, very wet. Okay, not so much water this time. You can tell I don't play with this very much. Okay, this time we're going to use, I'm trying to remember which one's cobalt blue. I think it's this one. We're going to use the blue. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and use it because I put it on here just for fun because I dipped it in the wrong place. Well, we'll just go ahead and do the yellow. I mean, we'll do the 3 since we're See, I've got to learn control. I've got to learn some control. But it looks really pretty. It looks prettier on the paper than it does in the camera. Okay. And I don't have black or white here, so we're not going to worry about that. Let's do a since I like the blues and greens and stuff, we're going to use some green. And then some light green. And blue. Woo. Oh, I already did that one. Okay. Hi, Melissa. I'm glad you're here. Okay, well, those are fun and they look pretty. Let's do complementary colors. And just see what happens. And I'm going to use this. Can't tell where the... Okay. We'll take some of the Viridian. Probably should have used the lighter color. Well, we're almost stopping for tonight, Melissa. But next Monday, we'll be working with it again. See, this has enough blue in it. I thought that was Viridian, but it wasn't. I picked up the other one. Okay, so let's do a small one since I messed up. Oops, we're going to use this green. Okay, and my paper is not flat, so things are running all kinds of weird ways. That's something to think about too. But it's fun and it's pretty. Look at that one up there. Made a circle around it. Let's see what happens when we make that one go in there. Okay. I got water on my book. Don't like that. Luckily, it's my book, not a library book or something. Okay. Well, that is the fun for tonight. Let me go over again some. Okay, I got to find a place to put everything now. Okay, here we go. Next week's next week's project is going to be yellow sunflowers with paper and glue. So we're going to use our paints. I'm not going to say which colors. We'll just use our watercolors. But they do say white gouache and a brown, if you have that. Hi, Teresa. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh, that would be great, Barbara. Just this right here. The materials. Just do that much. We don't want to get in copyright trouble, so just do the materials part, if you don't mind. Um, but you're going to need some brushes, some watercolor paper, watercolors, and then crayons, watercolor pencil, glue, white glue, she says. And I'm trying to say, I think she's going to use the glue as a resist, but I'm not positive. Oh, huh. Okay, this is going to be fun, y'all. This is going to be fun. I'm not going to tell you because you'll want to try it next week. But now I understand why she drew them and why she put the glue on everything. It'll be fun. Um, oh, you're playing your book. Okay, yeah, that'll be good too. I'll do a list in the group of what it says here. But remember, we're going to have to substitute some stuff. So don't feel bad about that because I'm going to have to too. Anyway, I'll leave y'all with this to look at. Oh, I've had fun, and I think this is going to be really enjoyable, even if we don't have all the right things. But at least I'm looking forward to it, and I'll show you how these look when they're dry next week. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. Y'all make my day when you come here and chat with me and everything. God bless you and have a wonderful night. Good night.